This would be crazy. Leaked meeting between Indiana Fever GM and Lisa Bluder sparks coaching change rumors.
That was former Iowa star Caitlin Clark confirming that Lisa Bluder is the best leader she ever been around. You want to know why she said that? I can give you one good reason, and that reason being that they was winning, and Lisa Bluder knew exactly how to use Caitlin Clark, knew exactly how her style of play was, and she applied that to that team, and that's why they were so successful.
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, like not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to play fast. But I mean, I thought for the most part we did a lot of stuff that coach wanted us to do, and you know, that wasn't why we lost.
Caitlin Clark's patience finally snapped after the Fever's latest meltdown. Against Ajaia Wilson's Aces, and Indiana's front office heard her loud and clear. Sources now say former Iowa mastermind Lisa Bluder is within inches of penning a pro deal to replace embattled coach Stephanie White. The move would reunite Clark with the only coach who's ever fully unleashed her long-range arsenal. Tonight, we're unpacking the hush-hush negotiations, what Bluder's arrival means for Clark's title dreams, and why this seismic coaching pivot could flip the entire WNBA power grid on its head.
Fire Stephanie White yesterday. Fire her yesterday. And the reason why is not that Stephanie White is a bad basketball coach. It's not that Stephanie White is a bad motivational speaker. It's not that Stephanie White has done a bad job defending her players. It's not any of that. It's that Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark fundamentally have different understandings of the sport of basketball.
Lisa Bluder might be heading to the WNBA. Reports say the Indiana Fever are in serious talks with her after their recent blowout loss to the Las Vegas Aces. That game exposed deep problems with the team's coaching, and now fans and even insiders believe Bluder may be the solution. She coached Caitlin Clark through one of the most historic NCAA runs in women's basketball. Now, she might be returning to help Clark once again, this time on the professional stage.
And Caitlin Clark, by and large, and I don't know if this is Stephanie White channeling her inner Christie sides. This was an issue last year. It's an issue this year. Caitlin Clark is benign in the fourth quarter. And them not trying to figure out a way to get her looks in the fourth is a total failure.
Back in college, Bluder gave Clark full freedom on the court. Under her, Clark averaged nearly 28 points and 8 assists per game. She led Iowa to back-to-back Final Fours, all while playing in a fast, creative offense. The system was designed around Clark's strengths: deep shooting, quick decision-making, and off-ball movement. It wasn't just effective, it was entertaining and unstoppable.
It was just not a good day for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Many fans are still poking fingers at head coach Stephanie White for actually making the game not entertaining anymore, bro. This motion offense has to be addressed, and Stephanie White has to be held accountable, because it's truly the offense that she's running, and it is not for Caitlin Clark at this point. Now, both Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White spoke to the media immediately after this game. Check out what they had to say. Roll the footage.
Stretches that are really good, there's be stretches that aren't as good, and obviously it's frustrating. You want them to go in, and even tonight I felt like there was a few that felt really good off my hand, and it just didn't go down. And even the mid-range jump shot to start the fourth quarter, and the three to start the fourth quarter, they both felt good off my hand. So it's just that's just frustrating. And I think for the challenge for myself going forward is just continue to pour into every other aspect of the game, and I can continue to have an impact in, all those other areas. I thought I got to the rim well. It was just, certainly a tough shooting night, and, I got to find a way to continue to shoot and remain confident in myself, because I know I put the time in. But for me, I don't feel like it's, anything that's off necessarily, but
what we have to do as a staff to get her better looks, higher quality looks. Every game plan is going to be to make her score inside the three-point line, right? And the different ways that they're going to do that: physicality, coverage, showing bodies, all the different things. And we have to do a better job of getting her higher quality looks. I'm not worried about Caitlin's shot. Caitlin's shot is going to be just fine.
Now with the Fever, Clark looks trapped. The offense is slower, the spacing is poor, and the creativity that once defined her game has all but vanished. Instead of leading, she's being boxed into isolation plays. Defenders double her, and there's No help. The drop in performance isn't just about talent, it's about system. The difference is clear when comparing her Iowa highlights to her WNBA games.
Becky Hammond did speak with the media also. This is what she had to say. Let's roll the footage.
Considering changing the starting lineup for the second half, this time you didn't have to do that. Still won the game in the second half, was solid. What did you see from your starters to really close out this game?
They were just really intentional just by their talk in the huddle and at halftime about winning the third quarter. So they backed that talk up. I like that. They're obviously hyper aware of it, but I thought we cleaned some things up, which enabled us to get out and score in some different ways. I thought our defense was getting strung out too much in that first half, so we made some adjustments, and I think it was better.
Becky, I think you would say you still haven't seen a full 40 minutes, but
It's close.
yeah, just before halftime, they started to make their move. Did it sort of ease maybe the stress level going in at halftime, seeing that, okay, they're building up a little momentum, they're getting on their game. Just bring that out into the second half.
Well, I know Asia's not going to struggle for the whole game like she struggled in that first half, so you just know eventually that worm's going to turn. And she was huge in the second half, and it's been really huge in the fourth quarter. So, we're still figuring it out, but like our defense is giving us opportunities that we need on the offensive end. I thought Dana and even Tiffany Mitchell's time was really impactful. In fact, they kind of stabilized a shaky ship there from that end of the first quarter going into that second quarter. I thought both those guys really contributed. And then, obviously Nye knows how to shoot the ball very well.
Stephanie White, the current head coach of the Fever, has come under fire for her decisions. In the recent Aces game, she left Aja Wilson undefended most of the night. She burned through timeouts to early and benched shooters when Clark needed support. This wasn't a one-time failure. Earlier games showed similar issues: broken and bound plays, late game collapses, and unclear roles. Players are reportedly frustrated behind.
Not even different understanding. What Stephanie White wants to do is not going to work for this team. It is not going to work for this team. What Stephanie White wants to do will not work. And by the way, I'm not saying what Stephanie White wants to do is won't work in general. Won't work in general. Because it has worked. She's had success. But I'm saying what Stephanie White wants to do will not work for this team specifically. And let's take a listen to what Caitlin Clark said. And she essentially exposed Stephanie White wants them to play slow.
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to
It's on me not conceding.
Play fast. But I thought for the most part we did a lot of stuff that coach wanted us to do, and that wasn't why we lost.
She literally was like, "Oh, what the coach wanted us to do wasn't why we lost. I'm conceding. I was conceding by not playing fast." What is she saying? This is the most damning thing I've heard Caitlin Clark say. This is the most damning thing I've heard Caitlin Clark. She didn't even say this about Christy Sides. This is damning. She's saying that she needs to stop conceding and play fast, and that doing what the coach wanted them to do was not why they lost. She said that unprovoked. That is one of the most wild things.
Clark hasn't directly named names, but her words after the Aces loss spoke volumes. She said, "We need a clearer vision. That wasn't just disappointment, it sounded like a plea for change." Fans read between the lines. Many believe Clark wants her former coach back, and now so does the Fever front office.
This is what we got to do. We got to put Caitlin Clark off ball. We need to run a motion offense, so when the defense takes away what Caitlin Clark does best, we have other players that can still perform, so when she does have bad games, we're not completely dead in the water. I think that is the best way to move forward with this Indiana Fever team. Wait, Wait, what'd you say? Wait, what? Did you just tell me that Stephanie White went on an interview tour this whole entire offseason saying exactly that? Did you just tell me Stephanie White went on an interview? So how come when Caitlin Clark has a bad game, this team looks like absolute dog shit? How come when Caitlin Clark isn't busy backpacking this team, it looks like absolute dog shit, coach? Just a question. Just a question. What we saw today, folks, I feel bad for everybody that had to sit through that. Everybody that wasted 2 hours and 25 minutes watching the Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces. I feel bad that we had to sit through that. That was a tough watch. That was a tough watch. The Indiana Fever lose to the Las Vegas Aces 89-81, running bullshit Stephanie White offense. Let's call a spade a spade. The Indiana Fever lost 89-81, running bullshit Stephanie White offense. But Ben, Ben, the first quarter, folks, let me tell you this right here. Aaliyah Boston had 18 points in the first half. Do you know what happened at halftime? Becky Hammond said, okay, guys, I think I know what they're doing. Aaliyah Boston is just going to slip every screen and get wide open layups. She's just going to slip every screen and get wide open layups. She's just going to slip every screen and get wide open layups. This is what we're going to do. We're just going to switch. Easy money. We're going to switch, and if she gets the ball and she beats us one-on-one, she gets the ball and she beats us one-on-one. But that didn't happen. She did get the ball, and in the second half, she didn't beat us one-on-one. Las Vegas Aces won the halftime adjustment battle.
Insiders close to the organization say the Fever are in advanced talks with Lisa Bluder. She recently retired from Iowa, but sources say she's open to returning if the right opportunity presents itself. The deal could be finalized within days. It may involve not just coaching, but also long-term influence on the team's direction, possibly even input on roster building and offensive schemes.
This Aces versus Indiana Fever game turned out to be. It was an utter nightmare. It started off looking good in the first half, and somebody said, we're looking real good. And I said, well, the only problem here is Asia Wilson at the time, I believe, was 2 of 13 from the field, and the Indiana Fever only led by 6. And I said, Asia Wilson will get hot later in this game, and the Indiana Fever is going to have to withstand that. I'm going to start by saying this because Caitlin Clark is, let me just check, she is 1 for her last 17 shots from three-point range. And I uttered this earlier because it was something we saw right before she missed 5 games. Right before she missed 5 games, she was struggling from long range. She's just fine going to the basket. She's just fine pulling up from 12. She's just fine in and around the basket all the way out to about 12 or 15 foot. But her long range shot struggled right before they pulled her out for 5 games. And I said, is that quad injury giving Caitlin problems again? God, I hope not. I hope not.
The reaction online has been electric. Clark's college fans are rallying behind the idea. Sponsors are paying attention to. Bluder and Clark had something special. And if that chemistry can be revived, the Fever could transform from a struggling team into a contender almost overnight.